Okay.
Good morning and welcome back to Planner Craft. Today I'm going to take you through some simple jigs that we can use in our stamping platforms and also with stencils to create new effects. So if you are a member on our group already, and if not you need to be, you will already have access to this file, which is our A6 arch. Okay, and it's good for doing both arches and clusters with A6 cards. And this morning I just wanted to take you through how we set one up. Okay. So I'm going to start off with a really simple one, and it's so simple that we can even do it in canvas if you wish. Okay. So I'll do it in canvas first, and then I can show you in Affinity after. So blow this up big for you, and zoom in a bit.
If people do want to comment, I'm here doing the comments.
Yeah, I'm not my own. Ian's hiding in the corner. So if you do need to stop me and ask a question, please do so. There is a little bit of a delay, so we will try our best. We are multi-streaming on Facebook and YouTube today. So if you comment on YouTube, we may struggle to see your comments. So just bear with us or hop on over to Facebook. So our Facebook page is facebook.com/plannercraft. Okay, so I'm going to start off with just a simple square. I'm going to bring it just inside of our mat, just because with jigs you probably want to be cutting the mat of something like mylar or acetate. So you want to make sure that you're definitely on your mat. And just for ease this morning, I'm just going to change my units to inches. So I know that my Tim Holtz stamping platform can take an 8x8 template. So it will depend on your individual machine as to what you can use. Okay, so here's our 8x8 square. And into that, I'm going to add another square, which is 5x5. Okay, I'm going to select both of those, and I'm going to go to Align Objects, and I'm going to align it to the center. And then I'm going to copy it and paste it, and you'll find it always does this offset when you paste items. It's a little bit annoying, but we can work with it. So if we press and hold shift and use this little rotation handle up here where your arrow becomes a circle, it goes to 45 degrees, and again in a minute we'll align it all, but just for now I'm going to duplicate it again.
I can see.
Okay. Should have done. It's going to go on a go slow today. So we can see that in this program you're only going to snap to the 90 into the 45. Okay. So as a simple circle jig, you're just fine working in here. So what you're then going to do,
Tracy and Zena say morning.
morning, is we're going to weld the two together, which creates like a star shape. Okay. So hopefully you're all up to that point. So I'll just undo it just in case you didn't see that. So make sure everything's lined. I'm just going to select the two centre shapes and I'm going to weld.
Tracy says evening.
Evening, Tracy. So this gives us a really basic way of forming a reef design on a 5-inch card. So if we want to get a little bit more complex, I'm going to hop over to Affinity, and I already have my 8-inch square. set up and my 5-inch card centre. So I'm going to duplicate that. So that's Command and J or Control and J. You see that we have another copy here. And you can see in Affinity we have much more variety in our actual angle. Okay, so I'm going to go for my 45 first. So that gives us our main points of reference. I'm going to duplicate it again. I'm going to take it back one notch. I'm going to duplicate it again. So now we can start to see that we're starting to fill up our centre. I'm going to duplicate it again. And one last time. So basically we should have an even amount of points all the way around here. Okay. Then with all those rectangles, we're going to select them all. Spirograph. And because we've used our shift button when we're doing a rotation, we know it's all going to be around the centre point. So all those are located to the centre. And we can just weld. So that way we have a much more complex guide for our 5-inch square to rotate round in. These are quite quick. So if you want me to slow down at any point. So before I go too far, what I'm going to do is just do a save as. I'm going to call that the 5-inch complex jig. And I will export the SVG at the same time. And I will go back in here and I will also save this one.
Tracy's very cute, she's just watching tonight.
Okay. So that's a fairly simple jig to get you started. However, when you want to get a bit more advanced, let's say you have a size of card that you can't fit that entire jig into your 8x8. So I've purposely gone for a 6-inch square this time. So I'm just going to put in text down here just so we have a reference. So 6-inch.
Carol's just joined as well.
I'm going to duplicate. Hi Carol. And just duplicate that first square. So you can see straight away when we put it onto the 45 degree, it's going outside of our jig, which means officially we'd have to be putting our card outside the area of our stamp platform, which won't work. But there's a way and a means, as usual. So I'm going to duplicate that again. And this time I'm going to do it by eye because I just want to get it into that middle section.
Yeah, I'm watching as well.
Cool.
She says good morning. No, I said morning.
Morning.
And Sarah Lou says good morning. Sorry, mind is willing, but body isn't.
That was us yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you've got all your squares into place, again, because we know it rotates around that centre point, that all these are aligned to each other, so we can just weld. Now we're going to move our star shape so that we have enough of a distance between there and there that we can comfortably go off the edge if we need to. So what you can do is go by this little section down here to see that you are central in terms of there and there. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to select both our star and our original rectangle, and I'm going to subtract it. Now obviously we don't want this floating bit down here to cut, so just double click on it so you get your nodes up. Select the ones in question and just hit delete. And again we can do a save as. And export it. Oh dear. Now another thing we can do with our 5-inch complex one is we can actually add in a circle. So if you select your circle tool, you're going to press and hold shift, then click and drag to make a circle. We're going to use our alignment tools to make sure it's in the middle, and I'm just going to give it a different colour, so let's go dark grey. So at the moment we've left our jig as a separate item, so we can just subtract that, and we can leave our circle either as a shape independent of its own, or because it's affinity and shapes don't have to overlap when we weld, we can weld it in.
Councillors, you've not finished the homework from yesterday, yes. Yesterday morning, yeah. Had to restart, but we'll keep trying.
Yeah, persevere, it is worth it, and it's just getting used to how the tools work and what order you click which button in, and yeah, they all do something slightly different. So if you press your Alt key before you click, it does something different to if you press it after you've clicked, and so forth. And I'm just going to export that one again, and I'm going to call that one the 5-inch complex centre circle. So what this means in real terms is when you actually cut this out, it will cut out not just your base, but it will still cut out this star, but with the circle taken out the middle. So you want to keep all 3 pieces, because this piece here becomes your guide for putting this piece in here. Then when you've got this in your stamp platform, you'll put one of your magnets in here. Okay?
What benefit does that give you?
Okay, so then when you're stamping, you get a nice circle section that is masked in the middle.
Oh, so it acts like a mask. Right,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
and then you can write your sentiment, or however you want to do your centre item.
So I didn't make it very clear what the circle was for. That's all right.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Hence I asked.
So just bear in mind the size of your circle to the size of your card. So your original size of your card. If I just bring in another square. So this is our original card. So if I send that to the back, so you can see as if it's been placed in the jig with the other one on top, then your design would go round the outside here, while you have a nice mask bit in the middle. So obviously you could change it so that you have different centre circles to go in if you wanted to, but you still need to just recut it so that you've got that guide and this one.
If people don't have the magnetic board like you do, or with the magnets, could you use a bit of double-sided tape?
Yeah, a little bit of low tack tape that you've rolled up and pop it underneath.
Just so it stays in place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the easiest way. Or you can use some stencil spray or stencil glue. So if you have the Pinflair stencil glue for resticking your cutting mat, you can also use it on the back of your stencils as well. that back out there for a minute. We can keep all these open so we can go back to them. And finally, I have a border set up here. So this measures our 8 inches again, and it has all these notches where basically our cut piece, which we're going to decorate, will also have corresponding notches like so. The idea being that as you move along, you can literally line it up, notch, 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 and slide it along as you go with each stamp impression. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Ian's looking confused at me. So if I go and show you instead, so let's say this piece is in your stamping platform, so picture that for a minute, and that's cut out of acetate. We have this piece cut from card that we're going to stamp on. So you're going to line it up into the first notch and stamp your design here. So your design is always going to be stamping here. Okay? You can go next notch along, next notch along, and so on and so forth. So as long as your piece lines up into that grid, you'll get a lovely straight line of stamps. Or
is that very specific to the shape though, so you would have to have your little notches on the top to make sure it...
Yeah, you have to have the notches on the top. So what I was going to do is actually show you how to make this one. So first of all, you can see I've set up a load of guides, and that's to help me get a consistent spacing of the border. So to do that, if you go into View, then go into Guides Manager, you can see I have all these vertical guides set up. So to set a new one up, it's just a case of there's a little blank page icon down here. You click on that, and it will automatically come up with one in the centre of your sheet, more or less. At which point you click on it again and it will turn blue, and you can then type your number. So I'm going to go for 240. It puts it somewhere off the map, but it's fine. So then you can see it pops up another guide. So I've just done one every 2 centimetres. And if you're working in inches, you could do it every inch. Okay.
Can you take them out just as easy? Is it a simple process to remove?
Yeah. So if you go into, I'll go back into the Guides Manager. So let's say you don't want it. There's a little rubbish bin next to the blank sheet, and you can just delete it back out. And you can even get it to do columns and rows for if you want, and so on and so forth.
Mike's watching.
Hi Mike. I'm going to close that. So how I did it, I started off with just a rectangle that goes between my guides. Okay, nothing fancy. Then I'm going to put onto that a triangle. Okay, I'm going to just literally draw it just off, and then move it so that we have our green vertical line and our red horizontal line. And you can have that as tall or as low as you want. Obviously the taller you go, the more card you're going to be wasting. So I'll just have it fairly low. You're going to duplicate it, and we're going to drag it over to the next one. If I just change that bottom colour so you can see it a bit better, there we go. So again, I'll duplicate it, move it over, duplicate it, and then because we've done it several times, it realises what you're trying to do and gets clever.
Is that because you use duplicate rather than just holding out to click?
Yeah, yeah, so it's Command and J or Control and J. So once you've got your triangle set up like this, you're going to select them all. You're going to press and hold Alt, and while you're holding Alt, you're going to click on it and you're going to drag it. Then you're going to press and hold Shift as well. Now that constrains it to moving in a straight vertical line, and you're going to let go. Okay, so now you've got your slots that you're going to go into and the peaks that you're going to slot into them. The next thing you're going to draw is your border piece. Let's give that a different colour again. So let's say that's your border. Now the height of this can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't matter. So if you want a really thin border, that's fine. If you want a really thick border, that's also fine. Okay. We're going to select all these little triangles and our base piece, and we're going to weld. Okay. We're then going to go to our jig piece, and we're going to subtract. Then we have the perfect pairing that will slot in. Okay. Thumbs up. And that, if I then save it. No, I won't save it, let's just do a save because I've already saved it once. And export it. And that is that. Okay. Next one. This one I'm going to do slightly differently. So I'm going to start off with my base piece of card. So I'm just going to draw in. Let's go A6. So 105 millimeters by 148.5. I'm going to move this up towards the top of my page. And I'm going to draw another rectangle, which I'm going to go from the top down past the card and through to the bottom. Okay. Now I'm going to make this a bit narrower. A little bit more like that. Yeah. Okay. So this would be the way that our card fits from that centre point in our mask. So this is going to change it slightly differently. So before we go any further, you want to group that, and then we're going to go and create the symbol. So if I go to View, Studio, Symbols, I'm going to create. Then when we go into our layers, when we drop down, I'm just going to click on my original card piece. And I am just for now going to put in a circle. Now this circle is just for reference. So if I give it a colour. And I'm going to send that rectangle, the thin rectangle, to the back. So we have our card blank, and it's almost, think of it as waving on a little stick. So it's going to rotate around that much different to if we were rotating it like so. Anybody confused yet? Yeah. Oh dear. Ian says he's confused. So I'm going to take the fill out, and I'm going to just increase the stroke so we can see roughly the outline of our card. Now the reason I do this is when I then go to bring in another symbol, we can see through the piece of card, and we can start to rotate it how we wish the design to go. So the easiest thing to do is have it so our centre rectangle meets at the centre of its base, yeah, so that we've got a pivot point. So now that we've done that, I'm going to duplicate it, so that's Control and J or Command and J, and I'm going to flip it that way. So that way we know it's exactly the same angle but in the other direction. And again, just going to line that up so it meets the middle. Okay. So now we can see that we've got this kind of arch going on. Now, if you want to have that more of an arch, then you reduce the length of your stick just here, okay? But for certain designs, I think that would be quite nice. So I just want to make sure that these are in the right place. So I'm just going to go to a line and top. That looks about right. So we can come back in with our rectangle tool, and I'll take these stroke off it just so we can know that that's our jig. I'm going to send it to the back, which is Command Shift and open square bracket, or Control Shift and open square bracket. Okay, I'm going to go back to my symbol, and I'm going to make my rectangle white, and I'm going to remove the stroke. I'm going to delete the circles. I'm going to delete the little